Hello, and welcome to another episode of Gaming Insights. I am your host, the Kingfish. This is an older topic, but I want to get my opinion out there anyway. The question I have for everyone is Rockstar the bad guy many have made it out to be regarding their Grand Theft Auto Online product? Ever since its release with Grand Theft Auto 5, people have been criticizing Rockstar for what they refer to as pushing shark cards as a means to get more money from people after they already paid $60 for a game. This is a fallacy. Yes, you paid $60 for a game, and Grand Theft Auto 5 is wholly deserving of its $60 price tag. That's what you paid for, and as far as I'm concerned, they included Grand Theft Auto Online for free. To think that Grand Theft Auto Online would not be monetized after being included in Grand Theft Auto 5 for free is idiocy. Think about it. They have been creating new assets, animating and voicing new cutscenes, and regularly adding more content to Grand Theft Auto Online after its troubled start leading up to the Heists DLC. Am I supposed to believe there's no costs associated with producing content like this? Or did people expect Rockstar to do this just because their game was so successful? If you believe either of these, you are sadly deluded. Would you work for free? Now, that being said, there are problems with the current formula, which would be easily remedied with a few minor tweaks, but it's up to Rockstar to decide if they want to make those tweaks. Now, let's get into the meat of what Rockstar's challenges and options were to create a successful online service. There is one major problem with creating an online service, and that is the cost of maintaining servers, creating new content, and paying voice actors, all while making a profit. Because let's face it, this is a business, and if you're not going to make money, what's the point, right? Server maintenance and content creation were things they had already planned on. But something tells me that perhaps the need for additional cutscenes and voice lines were unforeseen expenses needed to make it work, which would make sense why it took them so long to release Heists. Once they got the ball rolling, they went with it. Now, costs associated with voice acting are not cheap. I would imagine that a huge chunk of the $200 million budget for Star Wars The Old Republic was for voice acting. I'm guessing around 30 to 50%, and I would assume Grand Theft Auto 5 had a fairly large piece of its budget be for voice acting as well. We already know about shark cards, and at first, maybe they were banking on few enough people actually buying them to take care of the maintenance costs. But as people pushed for heists to come out, it seemed like they started making it more and more difficult for people to make Grand Theft Auto cash in game. And I think there is some sort of relation, like perhaps Rockstar was reinvesting a portion of the money made from shark cards into the online service, or it somehow influenced the budget for the online DLCs, which seems plausible. However, there could have been other reasons on top of this. There are a few other ways Rockstar could have monetized it, but my guess is that Grand Theft Auto Online would have died a long time ago if they tried any alternative methods of making money. The other possible ways of monetizing I believe Rockstar had thought of and decided against because it would have hurt more than it helped include a subscription, paid DLC, and what they eventually went with. The problem with a subscription is that no one likes subscriptions, and in the years prior to Grand Theft Auto 5's release, many MMOs, including Star Wars The Old Republic, were forced to go free to play because subscriptions alone proved to be an unsustainable business model for this kind of service. The problem with paid DLCs would lie in not only would there be a lot of pushback, but Rockstar would have to keep multiple versions of the game running to accommodate those who were not up to date on the DLCs or did not want to buy them. Which brings me to the shark cards, a purely optional form of monetization that is not as much a pay-to-win model as a time saver, because once you have all your businesses in place, you can make 1 to 3 million a day, which is not a bad income in a game that is every bit as grindy as many MMORPGs, and it's designed to keep people playing just like any MMORPG. In my opinion, shark cards were their best choice, but people have openly criticized the sale of this purely optional form of monetization, with people targeting the price tag as being too high, or that missions don't pay enough and it's designed to force people to consider shark cards. But the truth is easier to understand than these arguments. For example, if you look at any other MMO on the market today, you will be able to tell that the prices are similar between all of them, except for the overwhelming majority only selling cosmetic items. One example would be Star Wars The Old Republic. It's not uncommon for a single piece of an outfit to sell for roughly $5 on the cartel market, or $12 to $25 for the full outfit. How about Fortnite, where character skins range anywhere from roughly $10 to $20, or Elder Scrolls Online, which is a big offender. It's $5 to $10 for a costume, but it doesn't stop there. About $50 in order to craft a certain style, or having to buy each DLC for $15 to $20 a pop if you aren't a subscriber. And even then, subscription doesn't give you access to the chapters, which are $40 each. At least with Star Wars The Old Republic, you can subscribe and get access to all the DLCs permanently, even if your subscription runs out. So what do you think? Instead of shark cards being a thing, how about paying $5 for each outfit or Halloween mask or face paint? Is that sitting well with you? On top of that, how about if they charged per DLC? $10 to $15 would be about right per DLC. Would that have been better? The truth is, had they done any of this, the game would have died long before they ever got to heists. Having an optional form of monetization is a better choice, and as far as the rest of the industry is concerned, it's priced appropriately. About $20 per unlock is around the standard, and that's about what it costs for a medium-high supercar if you're talking in terms of what you get for shark cards. It makes sense, and it also makes sure the game isn't ruined by making things too easy to get, because many people wouldn't pay that price, and by the time you have your businesses unlocked, play for a week, a few hours a day, and you can pretty much afford any one thing in the game. And it's not pay to win, because you aren't really in real competition with anyone, and you don't risk anything unless you're buying supplies for your business, which again is the risk associated with saving time. As for mission rewards, did they reduce them so people would buy shark cards? Could be. And it could also be that they were trying to create some sort of balance or compromise between races versus modes and missions, so that everyone would stop only running Rooftop Rumble. If they increased all of them, most people would get everything and stop playing before the next DLC was released. So they may have also did it to keep people occupied till the next update came out. Not that it matters anymore, since after getting access to heists, normal missions are pointless unless you want the unlocks associated with them. I could also make the argument that there's a group of people that only want instant gratification, who never really experienced delayed gratification or the feeling associated with it, and are not interested in experiencing it. A group that, rather than work hard for what they get, want everything given to them, and usually resort to anger or violence in order to get it. And if you are one of this group, then trust me, this is not your kind of game. And you should seek a game that you would get more enjoyment out of. Because let's face it, the reason why anyone plays games is it is their chosen form of entertainment. And if you are not entertained, and if you don't enjoy it, why do it? Grand Theft Auto Online is not the most grindy game out there. The rates in Grand Theft Auto Online are not a product of Rockstar's greed as much as they are the industry standard for this type of product, especially if they're giving you the DLCs for free. For the overwhelming majority of people, the MMO model is far too monotonous and grindy for people to stay interested. Many people want something that holds their hands and cuddles them, gives them things for little or no effort, like those that have a creative mode, and that's the kind of game that I find boring. It's a different strokes for different folks scenario, and there's no one model that satisfies all types of gamers, which is why we make the choices we do regarding games. Of course, Rockstar wants to make money. You had to know that they would monetize it in some ways, especially if it's on an ongoing free-to-play service that came bundled with Grand Theft Auto 5. The shark cards are optional, not forced. If you ask me, the reason why Grand Theft Auto Online attracts so many people who are not used to or are not a fan of this game model is because, for one, the base games are not this way for the most part. And neither was GTA Online for the first year of its existence. And for two, Grand Theft Auto Online tries to blur the lines between action adventure and MMORPG with their online installment. Grand Theft Auto Online slowly evolved from a Grand Theft Auto game into what can only be compared to most free-to-play MMORPGs. I can tell you that if they somehow got rid of the modders on their official service and perhaps increased the mission payouts by half, it would be perfect. And let's face it, some of the changes they made to the payouts were due to people money glitching and card duplication glitching, and it was a way to combat that. So, in a sense, the community did this to themselves. In summary, I feel that Rockstar got more than their share of bad blood regarding their online service. But indeed, some of their choices were deliberate, and it is a less than perfect environment, but it's unique. And there's nothing else like it. And by making a couple minor changes, they will have a happier fan base who will be willing to put in more time than they would have previously and possibly attract new players. At the end of the day, it is an online service and it's designed to keep people playing. And if people were able to afford everything without much gameplay, they would not stick around very long. It would get boring fast. I'm not saying shark cards are a good thing. I'm merely expressing my opinion that after weighing all the options, they made the most logical choice. People had to expect they would implement some way to make money through it. Perhaps making it harder to earn money in game was a bad move, and perhaps the cards themselves are overpriced, but it's optional nonetheless. There's no telling if this is even the definitive version of Grand Theft Auto Online, and perhaps they will continue to expand and perfect their methods in future iterations, or even revise their methods during this iteration. Either way, I don't want to see Grand Theft Auto Online just shrivel and fall away like a flake of dead skin when it's all said and done. Perhaps one day there will be a version where you can go to an airport and fly to any of Rockstar's fictional cities, each with its own set of activities, jobs, and missions. But for now, this is what we have, and it's less than perfect, but it's unique, entertaining, and perhaps just a little bit frustrating. Remember, the views expressed here are merely my opinion, you can choose to agree or disagree, and you can leave a comment doing so. If this was informative, insightful, or entertaining, go ahead and leave a like. If you want to hear more topics like this, ring the bell. If you feel as strongly about these topics as I do, spread the word, let people know I exist as well as hear what I have to say. Thank you for watching. Kingfish signing off.